God's given us these blessings. A lot of people say it comes with a loaf of bread under their arm, and we say that there's many blessings that they bring.
I like having a big family because there's always someone to play with and something to do.
Well, we tried to model our family on the ultimate family. And in that life in Nazareth, there would have been noise, and as you can hear, our own family, there's noise, so we're replicating that very well, I think. And the clamour of every day, but there would have been lots of love and affection between each other, and that's the example and relationships that we try to have in our home.
We are the Thomas family, and we are going to be big!
I grew up in Melbourne. My parents are originally from India, and when I finished school I attended university where I studied science, and then I did a commerce degree, and then I worked in the industry of banking and finance, and then I felt a calling to move into the teaching world, so I moved into that area and became a teacher, and I loved it.
My parents are Mauritian background, but I was born in Australia. When I was a little girl, the faith, my mum and my dad always brought me up in the faith. We would attend Sunday Mass. I probably didn't have too much formation in regards to knowing a bit more about the faith, but as I grew up, I kind of started asking a bit more questions and wanting to know a little bit more as to why we practice certain things, why the church teaches certain things.
So when I grew up, I went to Mass every Sunday, but it was not really until I got more involved with the formation activities of Opus Dei that I got drawn closer to the faith. So Isabelle and myself met when we were 16 and 17 years old respectively, so pretty young, and we were both in high school. We had a great, obviously, affinity for similar interests, but also the faith was central to both of our lives.
Just that connection, I think, with the faith really allowed us to gel really well, and he could answer a lot of my questions. He was quite knowledgeable as well. It was a little bit later on, once I went to university, I studied biomedical science, and then it was a few years after that Trent and I discerned and we decided to get married.
What we really decided, we both saw that we always had a vocation to marriage, and as soon as we got jobs, we got married, which was fantastic.
Trent is very hardworking. I do actually really admire his big-heartedness. So I think that's what I really admire the most, that he just accepts anybody, whether it's the homeless man on the street, he doesn't pass any judgment on them, or whether it's, the Pope that he's meeting or whatnot. I think he just has this real love for people and a genuine concern.
What attracted me to Isabelle was her thoughtfulness. She's very caring, very kind, very much attentive to other people's needs, and those are very attractive qualities in any human being, but particularly a wife. And fundamentally, I could see that she would make a wonderful mother, and thanks be to God, she is amazing, the best in the world.
Growing up, my mum's one of 10 children, and my dad's got 4 other siblings. So we had a lot of cousins growing up. And so having a big extended family as well really meant a lot to me. And I think Trent had a similar upbringing, that he had a lot of cousins and aunties and uncles on both sides of the family. So we would often talk about, wanting a big family and having, as many children as God would like us to.
We were very open to life, and obviously trusting in God's will and affection, and some of the kids were surprises and some of them were planned, but we loved them all.
And so now we have 8 beautiful children. We have 5 girls and 3 boys. I really enjoy having a big family. You know, God's given us these blessings, and so I really feel that we're just participating in God's plan. So with each child that we've had, you know, a lot of people say it comes with a loaf of bread under their arm, and we say that there's many blessings that they bring.
I think we have a wonderfully joyful family. We have great fun together. We spend a lot of time together, particularly during the holiday period, where my work allows me perhaps to take some time off to go and spend time with them on a holiday, and that's when I find that I have a much more headspace to interact with them in a more meaningful way.
When there is a bit of suffering or when there's a bit of a problem in the family, which with 8 children, sometimes we feel like there's always a problem or there's always a bit of an issue. There are many blessings that come with that. We have to kind of be mindful that perhaps these blessings aren't always seen. The blessings, you know, hopefully when we're in heaven one day, we'll be able to see, well, these are the fruits of having many children and the impact that we've had on others.
And one thing I think I love about having 8 children is the way we all look after each other. Sometimes we can't look after all the cleaning up the nappies and attending to the older kids with their studies. So the other children become like little parents and take on responsibility, and they're forced to become even better examples.
There are definitely some challenges in raising many children. One that we seem to always come back to and try even harder to improve in is spending one-on-one time with the children. We try to be a bit more clever about it in terms of trying to find within the day-to-day. So whether it's, you know, driving to school, maybe having one of the children sit in the front seat and then we can have a bit of a chat there, or whether it's, you know, whether we want to go for a walk around the block and having a bit more of a chat with them then, so that they feel important, that they can share their concerns, they feel like mum's really listening to them.
And you become much more focused in what you talk about, in the way you interact. And of course, importantly, before my children, the most important person to spend time with is my wife. And from that flows from my heart the outpouring of love and affection that I have for my children. And particularly our 7th child, Justin, has a few health issues. He has a heart problem.
By 3.5 months, he needed some heart surgery, and so a lot of people felt for us, our family really felt that was a hard thing for us to deal with. But we had to see it as a blessing, that it allowed us to pray a lot more, to really help each other out. You know, if one sibling was a bit upset by it, well then to support each other. And obviously it brought Trent and I really close together, that in unity in prayer. And then when he was born, thanks be to God, he still had the heart condition, but you know, it was I suppose a bit of a miracle that he was born, not needing intervention straight away.
That's a positive. I think if we didn't have him, we would pray less. And it's also encouraged us to ask other people for prayers. And that's a joyfully big part of our family.
I find having a big family joyful because there's so many children to play with, and I guess you never get bored. Being the eldest, I have a lot of responsibilities and like chore jobs and stuff, but I also get the most rewards, I guess. But I have to like look after them and stuff, but it's nice. We get to go to Mass very often, like nearly every day, so I can grow in a relationship with God and faith in that way.
A family that prays together stays together, and that's very much been the glue of our family.
Obviously, when they're really little, we read to them, we read Bible stories, that they become very familiar with our Lord's life, and then that they have this yearning to, you know, Mum, can you read to us, you know, another passage, another Bible story? And then you naturally have these lots of questions that come with it. I often find it difficult to spend lots of time with the kids, and last holidays I
took my daughter Elise, who was in year 2, and we were talking about prayer life. And I asked her, Elise, do you pray? And she said yes. And I said, really, do you really pray? And she said yes. So I said, okay, when was the last time that you prayed? And she said to me, well, just before, when I was on the play equipment. And the playground had a platform where, like a fireman's pole that you can jump down from, and a slide. And I said to you, what did God say to you? And she said to me, well, I asked God whether I should jump down from the platform. And I said, what did God say? And she said, yes, I should jump. And I said to her, what did you say to God? And she said, well, God, you go first. And I loved how that there was this natural inclination between the two, you know, that the divine filiation, that trust in God, you know, pray like little children, as our Lord said.
So when there's like some conflict or like a fight, usually we try to just like say sorry and like resolve it and like ask God to like just to give us like the grace to like say, oh, I'm sorry for what I did. Or like someone would just like stop and like tell them sorry what I did, and then either like mum or dad will just come in and just like tell us that what we did was wrong and that we shouldn't do it again.
There are natural conflicts between our kids. They're human beings, and like any family, there are disagreements. But I think it's how we accept those disagreements. It's actually really healthy that they disagree sometimes on certain things, particularly things that are just matters of opinion. But I think we try to teach our kids that reconciliation between each other after a disagreement is equally as important.
And then also I think it's important that they see the importance of forgiveness and that they carry on, you know, that they don't hold it against that person, but also that it's okay for others to make mistakes, that they're not perfect themselves, that they also have faults and weaknesses too.
Sophie is our oldest daughter. She's 14 years old. She's currently in year 8, and she's always got a tremendous smile on her face. She's very easygoing, and she's got a real affection and affinity for music. She loves tinkering on the piano. She's very creative.
Second child is Amelia, and she's 13, and she loves to read books. She has an amazing memory. She can tell you from cover to cover what the book and the details were about. And so that's really helped her academically. She's a real strong student. She does have a real attention to detail. So sometimes when she shares stories, she can give you all the details. And so our children love to hear stories. So Amelia is one of the children that does love to read to the younger siblings, and we'll take that opportunity to do that.
Xavier's our third child and our first boy, and I call him my younger brother. He loves his sport. He loves basketball and soccer and athletics, loves to be outdoors and play. He's someone who is a bit of a self-motivator and a good example to the others. And now I'm embarrassed to say that he can probably run faster than me and jump higher than me. But I'm going to try and catch up, and certainly has more hair than me. But he's a great older brother to our youngest 2 boys as well.
Fourth child is Celeste. She's lovely. She just has a really bubbly kind of personality. Nothing seems to really faze her. She's quite creative actually. She looks after her friends. She's quite social. She's very polite. She'll make anyone that comes to visit us, make them feel at home.
Elise is our 5th child. She's 8 years old, and she's the life of the party. She loves dancing. She loves singing to music, and she really gets along with her younger sister Madeline. And she's someone who really likes to always have fun, and someone who is a real thrill seeker, and that always keeps us on our toes.
And our next child is Madeline. So Madeline is 6 years old. We had a bit of a tough start with Madeline when she was born. We have a genetic condition in the family, and so Madeline was born with an abnormal thumb. And then just with the normal screening tests and whatnot that a baby undergoes, we found out that she was pretty much deaf in the one ear and then has some hearing loss in the other ear, which is part of this genetic condition. So she's been wearing hearing aids right from the beginning, but now she's a bit of a social girl as well. I think she gets along well and makes people feel really welcome when they come along to our place.
Justin's our 7th child. He's 3 years old and he's the jewel of our family.
Yeah, and he has a lot of energy, I feel. I think they really celebrate when he makes it some small achievement. Whether it's he's saying a lot more or he's, doing something new that he wasn't doing before, which is a real delight. And then our youngest child is Joseph. He's 6 months now. And he just does the usual baby thing. He smiles a lot and all the other siblings love him a lot.
I love my family because they always care for me, and when I need help with my homework, they help me. I like playing family games like Scrabble. My favourite things that I like to do with this family are going on bushwalks, swimming, going on for a bike ride, playing netball, soccer, basketball, going to mass, sometimes just talking about our day and listening to my siblings talk about their day at the dinner table, or going on a mummy-daughter date or daddy-daughter date with my mum and dad and just having one-on-one time with them.
There's no manual for being a parent. We're constantly learning on the job, as I say, but there's some principles that are important to keep in your marriage and parenting, and I think one of them is lots of affection and love for your children no matter what. Having a loving relationship with them means regular time with them so you can be close to them and they can confide in you and know that there's always an open door. I think also being demanding, love is demanding. When my wife's had our 8 children, it's hard being pregnant. It's difficult and she goes through that as an act of love. So have high expectations of your kids, be consistent and try to give them reasons for things. That's really important.
The number one relationship in the family is between husband and wife. I think if we really look after each other, so that might mean, allowing or giving them the space to pray or to go and do some exercise or to catch up with a friend. I think that's really important, even just for, their mental health or well-being, but that also we get to spend time together. So really cherishing that, whether it's getting a babysitter or grandparents to come and look after the children. I really think that if we invest in our relationship, that will trickle on to the children, the happiness of the children and the family, the home.
Well, we tried to model our family on the ultimate family, and the ultimate family is the Holy Family. Our Lady, St. Joseph, and our Lord. And in their life in Nazareth, there would have been noise, and as you can hear in our own family, there's noise, so we're replicating that very well, I think. And the clamour of every day, but there would have been lots of love and affection between each other, and that's the example and relationships that we try to have in our home.
And as a mum, I try to connect with Our Lady a bit more and then try to see my husband as St. Joseph. And so I find comfort when I go to Our Lady and say, how would you have done it? Or, what would you have done when, when I'm sure our Lord maybe had a tantrum? What would you have done? Or give me the peace and the patience.
Although she says she tries to see St. Joseph in me, I'm not very good at making things, so I stick to IKEA furniture.
We are joyful.